Welcome everyone to the weekly mailbox. Although it's a little bit special this time, we've got a little sprinkling of something extra. Thank you for 10,000 subscribers. We've made it. That was my goal for the end of 2019, and I thought at the time coming into 2019, I thought that was a bit of an extreme jump. I thought, Dan, calm yourself down, boy. That is far too much, but you guys have smashed it, and I've tried my best to improve my stuff this year, and I think together we've got a nice little relationship going on. So thank you very much, and hopefully we can continue to boss it in 2019. So today, trying to think of something a little special, and at 5,000 we did almost my Formula 1 life story. But you know what, I thought this time I'm just going to leave the floor open to you guys. We do weekly mailbox every single week, but I thought this time it just gives us a chance to talk about this is going to say, oh, what am I talking about? There's some more deeper questions, some more meaningful questions if you really wanted, a little bit more left of field, a little bit more fun. And we're starting with the F1 debate show. Thank you, boys, for sending in another awesome question. There's a few other YouTubers in this particular episode. So, first of all, thank you very much, guys. And also, I will leave their links in the description because they're all awesome in their own unique ways. And the boys over at the F1 debate show start today's Q&A 10K special off with this beauty. Why did you start this? Were you on YouTube before, or is this a hobby that turned into something bigger? Now, this was a brilliant place to start because to answer your question, yes, I was on YouTube before, and I am willing right now to embarrass myself to show you guys something, a little bit of a secret, a hidden gem, if you will, from my past. So I'll show you this, and then afterwards we'll talk about the question in a little bit more detail.
Be aware.
Hey guys, this is ChipKing99 here today from We Mad Bros, and today I'm going to be playing some F1 2013 on the Xbox 360. Hopefully we can get a win in this first ever race on my channel. Alright, 3, 4, 5 lights. Alright, Roth, my teammate's in pole. He hasn't had the best chance, but whoever's in second was always bogged down. And it's the Welsh boys, my teammate, who's going to be in front of me. Oh, and I've been hit from behind. Oh, that's not good. I've ran wide. He had an awesome getaway, and this Ferrari's going to go at my inside. And the Italian Russia looks like it's going to, but I'm going to go up the Ferrari's inside. Oh my God! Oh, the Toro Rosso's been 3 people have overtaken the Toro Rosso. Oh my God, this is incredible. The Brazilian in the Toro Rosso having an absolute shocker there. Oh, I've been hit. No. Oh, that's a shame. My teammate's been hit further up. And everything's going on here. The lag is strong. And this race is really heating up. And it's only the first lap. Right, I've really caught up with this Russia now. I'm going to go up the inside. The Ferrari's off. Oh, the Italian. They're not Italian, Brazilian. Oh, they've lost connection to someone. Oh, here we go. Right, the leader of this Grand Prix is quite far in front now. It's Toro. Contact between my teammate and the other Marisha. Oh, and they lost connection to another someone. I think that was my teammate, and it was, unfortunately. Again slow. I'm going to use my curves. Can I catch up with him? Oh, I'm in the slipstream. I'm on the outside. No. Oh, he made a mistake. Oh, the inside. Oh, no. I've gone wide. I've caught a warning for causing a collision, but no penalty. Anyway, I'm still going to go for the second place and take it in spirit. Can I get it at this final turn? Oh, and he's lagged miles in front of me, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But, God, that was a great little race there. And for my first race on this channel, I really, really, really did enjoy that. I ended up getting third, and, fourth in the end.
Yeah, sorry, headphone users. Something a little bit different there for you guys. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but that's not the only one that's out there on the YouTube. So if you really fancy going to find more, you can do. But yes, to go back to the original question, of course, I did have a YouTube channel before. I was a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Although that video I just showed you there was F1, I did a little bit of, well, it was more gaming, if you will. I really enjoyed Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege, which I still do now, to be totally honest with you guys. Sadly, some of the most popular videos were Minecraft, I know. This is very embarrassing talking about it. However, to be honest, that's why I started this channel, was because what I was finding was that, my old channel didn't really have much identity. And I've spoken before about my favourite YouTuber is a guy called Hello Greedo, in actual fact, a Star Wars YouTube channel. But what I like about him so much is that he's just so blunt and so straight. And I watched a video of his once saying that the best YouTube channels are the ones that have got their own clear identity and they're unique. Now, I know there's lots of Formula One talking channels, I know that's a thing, but at the time, no one, and still not really, anyone's doing Formula E. But of course, I also love Formula One, so I thought, oh, well, there's my USP. If I want to do that, I can bring in Formula E. And I've tried to bring in Formula 2 as well this year, but it's a lot of work to do Formula 2 as well. So that's been on the back burner a little bit with everything going on at the moment. So I was thinking at the time, you know what? My favourite videos to make are Formula 1. I love Formula 1. Surely I should just do Formula 1 and just knock the other things on the head. And don't get me wrong, there's some utter trash on that channel, but occasionally I really like to reminisce and just go and have a look at the trash on the channel sometimes. So yeah, I did have YouTube before, but the reason I started this was just I wanted to do what I wanted to do and talk about what I wanted to talk about. And you know what? If you can do that and be successful, brilliant. But also if you can do that and have fun, that's more important in my eyes. Hence why I still do Formula E. I'm not blind. I know it doesn't do anywhere near as good as the Formula 1 stuff on this channel, but I love it, and that's what I want to talk about. So hopefully that's answered your question. A little bit of a deep chat there, guys. That was a little deep for the first one, but I thought it was a really nice one to start with, and for a 10k special as well, I thought it made sense. So thank you, boys, over at the F1 Debate Show. Your links will be in the description. Our next question 2 in today's video comes from PDR Motorsport, and this is a bit of a debate question, which some of these are, and some of these are very controversial, but you know what, we're just having fun today. There's no serious nature about today's video, as you can tell already. The most underrated driver or team boss of all time. Now bear in mind, I've only started watching Formula 1 properly, as in I can remember, since 2006, but first guy that comes to mind is Felipe Massa. I don't think he's very rarely spoke about in some of the best of all time. And again, I wouldn't put him as the best of all time, but I think he's a guy that very easily could have won the World Championship in 2008. 2007, if things had gone his way, he probably could have won it then as well. And I think if it hadn't been for that accident, Felipe Massa could have won a World Championship. And it was just wrong place at the wrong time for Felipe, and I love what he's doing in Formula E now, but this guy really, on his day, was the best on the grid. And bear in mind, this guy was teammates with Michael Schumacher, this guy was teammates with Fernando Alonso, Kimi Raikkonen, and while he wasn't beating them, those guys definitely are some of the best in Formula 1 history. And I just, for me, Massa is one of the more underrated guys, but also nice and controversial. Nico Rosberg, I don't think gets enough love. Might be because he's a Formula E fan, and that's why I have a little bit of a soft spot for him. But I tell you what, he was a bit of a gamesman. I think we're all aware of that. He was a little bit of a gamesman, but I think actually, again, a little bit like Massa, considering some of his teammates in Formula 1, Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher at Mercedes, the way he was able to conduct himself and keep up with those guys, I actually think was a very, very strong job from Nico Rosberg. So they're the kind of drivers I'm thinking. And again, a little bit biased, but today it's allowed. Team boss, I'm going with Eric Boulier. Being a massive Lotus fan back in the day, I still feel what he was able to do with that team and that budget was incredible. And for Kimi Raikkonen to finish third, I believe it was, in 2012, what an awesome job that was. It might have been 2013 he finished. I think it was 2012 he finished third overall. What an incredible job he did. So thank you for that question. We now move on to one of the biggest, chungest questions I have ever seen from Aldas. But thank you, man. You're smashing it at the moment as well. And it's great to see that there's so many of us just doing just doing so well at the moment in Formula One. And although the season's a little bit dull, I think online, and especially on the YouTube side of things, a lot of us are just having a laugh, having a good time. So thank you for submitting your question, man. Anyway, focusing on the question now. 2021, this is obviously a massive talking point, and we spoke a little bit about it last time in regard to electric engines, but Aldas has asked, what are the 4 or 5 things that I think Formula One should change, remove, add for 2021? Now, there's a lot. There's a hell of a lot of things I think Formula One should be doing. And you've just seen on screen there for a little bit of time Aldas's suggestions. And I'm not going to go completely miles away from those, but I also think there's a couple of things that really grind my gears in Formula One. So I've got 5 written down, but some of them are vague, and I'll leave them up to you guys as well. So, first things first, the paywall has to go. I was a Channel 4 watcher, and this is my first season of watching Sky. And don't get me wrong, it's not terrible. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind paying to watch Formula One in the sense that I love Formula One. But the issue for me comes with new fans. That new fans don't have a choice, and that's a huge block, putting a paywall that's so expensive. Because the only options you really have are what I do, Now TV, which is upwards of £200 to watch a season. And again, that's just buying just Sky Sports, or going through Sky, or putting the Sky Sports F1 channel with your TV subscription. And I know in other countries there's F1 TV, which, again, not too familiar with that concept, but that could work, a more streaming service kind of thing. I just think putting Formula One behind a paywall is a bit of a snaky, slimy move. And I know it's something that Liberty have inherited when they bought F1. It wasn't their decision in many of these countries, so I cannot blame them, but I still think for 2021 that's something they've got to look at. And especially, I mean, it's great that Channel 4 have got one live race, but I just think for new fans it's not enough. And highlights, yep, again, brilliant, and it's better than nothing. I'll have to say that, it's better than nothing, but sometimes, and I know from experience, staying away from the internet for, I don't know, it could be 5 hours sometimes to avoid spoilers can be a real pain. And I mean, you know, I hope you guys would like to think I'm a big Formula One fan. I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't. But last season, when I was covering content, I had to do that. So there are guys out there that love Formula One but just aren't in a position to be able to pay for it. So I think, yeah, for me that's one of the things that hit home when I had to sign up for Sky, because I love the Channel 4 team as well. So yeah, that's the big one for me. And also moving on swiftly into the number 2, which is similar, is the production of Formula One for 2021. This is more of a gripe of this season, but I really think it's been very poor, the production value. Not only have we had shaky cameras, which I've never seen in Formula One, shaky cameras quite like we've seen this year. We've seen highlights where it said, oh, Vettel, I can't remember what race, I think it was Spain, something's happened to Vettel, we have the animation, and then it's just a fuzzy screen. Little things like that, which have just been happening constantly this year. This is going to wind people up as well, but it's one of those days. I would like to see a new commentary team. I'd love to see a Will Buxton have a go at Formula One commentary. Crofty and Brundle, I think, have made a fair few mistakes this season. Almost every session, we're getting 2 or 3 drivers' names wrong, identifying a car wrong. Calling them Force India, I can allow. I can understand that, but it's just little things like that this season that have got me. And again, 2021, Formula One's going to try and do this big rebranding, try and really bring in so many new fans. So that's something small for me there, but I think the production value, again, that's more of a, rather than 2021, just a gripe with this season, but it's something over the next few years I'd like to see a new commentary team, which I don't think people potentially were expecting that one. A bigger one, I think, would be tyres. I'm not a fan of these super long-lasting Pirelli tyres we've had over the past couple of seasons. I think we've got to try and aim for 2-stop races where 95% of the time for the last 3 seasons it's been a 1-stop race. So That's something I love in Formula 1. It's good strategy, different strategy, unique strategy, but it's not quite been there for the past few years. So yeah, tyres, I'd love to see something change there. Whether that's a tyre war, and we've got 2 tyre manufacturers coming in, brilliant. Whether that's just more degradable tyres, I don't know, but I would like to see some sort of change there. A paywall, not a paywall, a cost cap. I don't want to see a cost cap, which I think would surprise a lot of people. I think what I prefer is that Formula 1 aerodynamically would be more of a spec series, so that sounded very posh there for me, very intricate, but what I really mean by that is more parts for every car are the same, not so much like Formula E is, or Formula 2, but just so that rating is a little bit closer. And also I'd love to see a spec car that perhaps Dallara or even the FIA make that smaller teams can buy. So perhaps you have a few of the Formula 2 teams potentially buy one of these plain chassis and run a car at the back of the grid, but because there's such a, less cost involved, they can afford to do that, bring in sponsors, potentially team up with some of the bigger teams, get younger drivers through, more cars on the grid I would love to see. So I've baffled on for a while with that question there, but yeah, there's lots of things I would love to talk about. And 2021, of course, is going to be a huge talking point over the next few seasons. But they're the things that are just on the top of my mind at the moment. So thank you, Aldas, for that question, and let me know your thoughts, everybody, in the comments below. What would you like to see in 2021? Right, we might have to speed up a bit here, but Foa Bobble Tea, I like the name, asks a question I really liked, actually. What is your initial or thought about Formula E? A lot of you guys know I cover Formula E content, and I'm guessing Foa Bubble Tea is a fairly new subscriber, so I'll cut him a bit of slack. But you guys know I really enjoy Formula E, so how I'm going to answer this question is more how I felt about this particular season. Season 5 of Formula E, lots of change. The biggest one obviously being the Batmobile Gen 2 cars, attack mode, qualifying change. We had all these fairly high-profile drivers coming into the sport. Felipe Massa, Pascal Wehrlein, Stoffel van Dorn. It was looking very rosy, and to be honest, the first 8 races, 8 different winners from 8 different teams, that is incredible. And considering there's only 13 races, those sort of statistics get people interested. Now, we've got 3 races left of Formula E. I think it's been a good season. Not the best. I think for me what has perhaps ruined it a little bit, the racing itself has been brilliant. Really has. It's been all over the place. We've had thrills, spills, crashes, all that good stuff. Attack modes worked really well, and pit stops I don't think have been needed. But what keeps going over my head is the racing does feel a little bit artificial this season. And again, it's not ruined the season for me. I would definitely give it an 8 or 9 out of 10, which is awesome. That's brilliant. That's exactly what we want. Fan boost is also, that's so irrelevant now. That's brilliant as well. But qualifying, I don't know, just for me, the fact that the guys at the top of the championship get penalised so much, it encourages this almost randomisation of winners. And the cars themselves, it's not like Formula 1, where, a Mercedes, if they qualify at the back, potentially or very likely, could finish on a podium. No, Formula E, if a BMW starts at the back, maybe they could scratch into the points. But, it's the nature of the cars. It's a majority spec series, so they're not going to be very super easy to overtake. So that really has put a little stain on this season for me. But I take away from this season brilliant racing. I went to Rome to watch Formula E there. I was in the media room, spoke to the drivers, which was an incredible experience. So again, thank you to Formula E Zone for sorting that out for me this year. It really has been awesome, and it's been a big step in the right direction for Formula E. But again, I still think there's a few things that have put people off. The qualifying system. Also, can you remember what was it called? Formula E Voltage. That was a waste of time. That was, I mean, I'm guessing people have forgotten about that as well. They've completely got rid of it. But I love Formula E. I prefer Formula 1, I'll happily say that. But, I mean, even Formula 1 hasn't been perfect this year. So, yeah, racing's brilliant in Formula E. I've really enjoyed it. I'm really excited to see what it does in the next few years, potentially. But, yeah, Formula 1 is still the daddy. Yeah, we will move on after that question. But thank you very much, Formula E. Yes, I do cover it on the channel and enjoy it very much. Next question and final question, a controversial one. A controversial. That's what I'm trying to say. This is a scary one, for sure. It really is. And as always, the last question I leave open to the floor, but also answer myself. So let me know in the comments below your top 5 favourite drivers of all time. Mr. Random Guy, you have served us a treat at the end of this video. We'll start off with some honourable mentions. Didn't quite make the cut, but were on my list of considerations. I've got guys like Nico Hülkenberg, Carlos Sainz I'm really liking this season, Charles Leclerc, Formula E side of things, I've got no Formula E drivers in my top 5, but Stoffel Van Dorn, I've got a mini helmet of Stoffel Van Dorn, a couple of other guys on this list I have as well, but my top 5, starting in number 5 with Robert Kubica, and unfortunately I'm not talking about Williams Robert Kubica. I think the return to Formula 1, I think a lot of people will agree, hasn't quite gone to plan thus far. Looking better in Monaco, but thus far Russell's had the upper hand, but Kubica was my favourite growing up in Formula 1 right up until his accident. This guy, I was a big fan of Robert Kubica, and I won't forget that. So he is number 5. Number 4, I've gone with Niki Lauda. Again, tragic passing over the past couple of weeks. Super lucky to have survived his mega crash in 1976. And, you know, people might think I'm saying this because of recent events. However, if you look over the channel over the last couple of seasons, my number 4 pick, Lauda, and my number 3 pick, I always say would make the ultimate Formula 1 team. So Niki Lauda for sure is on my list. And number 3, just beating out Niki Lauda, is Jim Clark. Obviously being a huge Lotus F1 fan, and I still am to this day. This is the boy who started it all, that idolised everything in Formula 1, and I really have a deep appreciation for Jim Clark. Multiple world champion, gone too soon in Formula 1, but you talk about a guy who was a real boss of Formula 1. Still, I think it's the highest percentage of Grand Slams of any driver. So yeah, he's on the list. Number 2, Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi Räikkönen, I'm guessing some of you are a little bit surprised at that answer. I don't talk about Kimi much on the channel, especially these days. Now he's Alfa Romeo this season, doing a cracking job. But again, 2012, 2013, the proper years I really fell in love with Formula 1 was because of this man. I was Lotus mad, Räikkönen mad. But when Räikkönen left, that left a hole in my heart and was filled, as many of you know, by this man. Romain Grosjean, my favourite driver, I want to say of all time in Formula 1. Actually as well, I don't want to say treated myself, but in celebration of 10k subscribers, bought a Romain Grosjean 1x2 mini helmet from the 2018 season as a little memento to remember. But this guy, I don't know why, he's a bit of a crash master. He's not the best in Formula 1, he's not the most consistent, but I was there in 2015, my first ever live race after going through years of pain with Lotus. I went on crutches to the Belgian Grand Prix in 2015, and a team that showed up to the weekend, I was upset because supposedly they weren't going to race because they had no money, ends the weekend with a podium, and ever since then, Grosjean really, truly has been my number 1. Also, I was never much of a Maldonado fan. So yeah, difficult time for Lotus back then. But that is the 10k subscriber special. Again, a little bit different. And some of the questions you guys asked this time, I've saved Didn't think they were suitable for this particular episode, but there's ones about the season so far, about drivers, that I might use next week, so keep an eye out for that. And as always, if you've got any more questions, post them in the comments below so I can have a little rummage through for next time. Thank you very much for watching, thank you for 10k subscribers, and I'll see you in the next one.